Binduri, or even better, to ensure that Binduri is safe. We are doing all this in anticipation of Otumfo's declaration so far as the Bawku crisis is concerned. Now we need to move the truth forward instead of waiting for something to happen before we move forward.
Roads and Highways Minister Kwame Gavins Agboja says ongoing projects under the government's Big Push agenda will be completed by the close of 2027. Speaking on TV3's New Day, Kwame Gavins Agboja said the project will not only boost transportation but also create jobs and empower local contractors.
Previously, the finance minister announced a 10 billion Big Push initiative as part of the President Mahama's vision. Currently, we are more than 60 billion in terms of projects that have already gone through procurement and other things. It's in excess of 60 billion, and it's in every region. And we have currently been able to work with our contractors, and majority of contractors participating in this are already on site.
Head of Secretariat of the B20 South Africa 2025, Dr. Anthony Costa, has discounted the impact of the decision by President of the United States Donald Trump not to participate in the first ever B20 G20 summit in Africa, ongoing in Johannesburg, South Africa. Speaking in an exclusive interview with TV3's Alfredo Kanse on the sidelines of the ongoing B20 summit in Johannesburg, Dr. Costa said though President Trump is absent, America is participating.
On the business side, the United States has participated fully. US companies, the US Chamber of Commerce, they are the B20 hosts next year. They are here for our official handover. The G20 is different, but business wants to work together. They see the value of, as we called it, global connections. And so we're confident that the legacy will continue and the momentum continue with B20 United States.
Well, Ghana brief there for you. Let's get into our stories for the night. One person is dead after a NAIMOS team in the Ashanti region is involved in a car crash. Let's get into that now. News just in, one person was killed in an accident that has left 4 others. Personnel of the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations in critical condition. We're learning the team was on a major anti-galamsey operation in Obuasi when the accident happened. I want to show you details of a statement the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources released in the last hour. Now, according to the ministry, that statement says it regrets to announce that a team of 5 members of the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat was involved in the fatal motor accident today near the Obuasi Airport area. It goes on to say that the incident occurred while the team was undertaking a major anti-galamsey operation aimed at curbing the menace of illegal mining within the enclave. It also says that tragically, 1 member of the task force has been confirmed dead, while the remaining 4 sustained serious injuries and are currently receiving medical care. So that's it coming from the ministry, which is now extending its profound sympathies to the family of the fallen colleague and conveys heartfelt wishes for swift recovery to the injured team members. But that's just news coming in the last hour. 1 person has died in a motor accident involving the NAIMOS team in the Ashanti region. Let's get further details. Media Relations Officer of the Ministry, Pakwesi Shandoff, is joining us for just that. Pakwesi, I appreciate your time this evening with us, but how did this happen?
Well, so as of now, the ministry has, under the authority of the Minister, Emmanuel Kpebu, commissioned an investigation into this particular development. And so the details that we are able to convey would certainly be sketchy. And in that sketchiness, all I'm sure we can put across is the fact that the lane on which they were driving, we do understand is a particularly tricky lane. And so that is what we know as of now, inconclusively, led to the somersaulting of the vehicle that has resulted in this very unfortunate development. But the investigations have commenced, and so I'm sure that by close of week or maybe next week, we'll be able to offer full closure and the necessary clarification on what factually led to the incidents that has saddened all of us at the ministry.
Give us details of their movement. Where were they going? Where were they from? What can you tell us?
So, I mean, if you look at all the Galamsey hotspots, the regions that we have classified as hotspots in the country, the Ashanti region is one. Now, in the Ashanti region, places like Obuasi also have featured prominently in the flashpoints where Galamsey occurs most. And so the movement was in that respect. They had gathered intelligence, and so they were going to foil some operations in that particular area and beyond when the incident happened. It was a team of 5, 2 policemen, 1 immigration officer, and then 1 officer from the BNI, and then 1 soldier. He, unfortunately, is the one who has passed. The reason the team is mixed this way is because, like we all know, NAIMOS integrates all the security agencies, and so that's the reason for that team composition. Unfortunately, the soldier is the one who passed on their way to Galamsey site to, of course, do what they've always been doing, deal with the menace of illegal mining.
I see. Pagosi, since, NAIMOS started work, how many personnel have passed?
I think this is the very first time we are hearing of such an unfortunate development. Of course, it is a very tricky and dangerous terrain because we are always coming into confrontation with illegal miners who are armed. Some of them want to be brutish and combative as well. But we have never recorded an incident of this nature. To the point of death, no, we have not. And so I'm sure this would be our very first unfortunate tragedy that we are recording from the time NAIMOS was installed up to now in all of its operations.
And indeed, I believe it's a fine opportunity to find out what's happened with investigations into some of the incidents against NAIMOS personnel or personnel who were fighting illegal mining one way or the other. We can start off with the EPA incident that took place also in the Ashanti region. What's the latest on that?
Well, for all investigations that border on attacks on NAIMOS personnel, I have to say that all of them are steadily in progress, and in due course would communicate the outcomes. The thing is that some of these processes you have to exhaust a bit more time because you want to come to a conclusion that is very definitive. Of course, on surface you would find, you make some findings that you can run with, but we want to come to the very bottom line and make sure that we penalize everybody who is involved. You remember, it is not only before the EPA incident, there was one where in Tridium, for example, NAIMOS personnel were attacked just because they were, performing their traditional operations. Mm-hmm. That, in addition to the EPA incident, and indeed every incident that has involved the harassment of NAIMOS personnel is being steadily investigated, and in due course will communicate the outcomes. Of course, everybody who is found culpable definitely would be punished, because you should not foil any attempts to deal with the menace of illegal mining, especially the personnel who are sacrificing their lives to do it. Really, you should not harm them. So if you do, you certainly fall in trouble with the law.
Very well, Pagosi, appreciate your time with us tonight. Pagosi Shandov is Media Relations Officer for the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. We'll stay on this subject and bring in now security analyst Richard Kumado. We'll pick his thoughts on this tragic development. Richard, how does this come to you?
I wasn't surprised at all, considering the fact that the environment has become a bit more treacherous, and there are treacherous elements out there after the lives of the NAIMOS teams and the agencies that work within the space, which means that the environment has become a bit more hostile, with a lot of hostile personalities all over the place. In that regard, it would appear or would it be proper for NAIMOS, the frontliners in particular, to be a bit more strategic and to be a bit more tactical, particularly the route they take and throughout the entry points and the exit points, saying that whether they are relaxing or whether they are in the trenches, vigilance and observance should be the watchword, because anything can happen at all times. I'm happy that they have started investigations immediately. We want to find out whether somebody deliberately threw them off the route, or it was an impromptu hiccup, or it was a human negligence, or it was
Richard, I mean, why
something deliberate that happened to them.
I see, Richard. Why would you think that far that there could be foul play in this, when we are told it was a motor accident?
Now, I was talking about 4 options. I was saying that investigation outcomes will look at whether somebody deliberately tampered with an equipment, or somebody threw them off the street, or it was a human negligence, or it was an impromptu hiccup. And these 4 scenarios will be investigated and looked at carefully. That will inform decision makers as to what to do, whether they will have to review the nature and the type of equipment they are using, or they will have to re-strategize again. So I wasn't saying somebody deliberately, but we are investigators, and we want to look at these 4 places and find out whether something actually came from that. And if it means that it's human negligence, there's a reason for that. If it means that it's an impromptu, there's a reason for that. If it means that somebody tampered with equipment or somebody deliberately threw them out, it helps decision makers to take a decision in that regard.
Well, Richard, I mean, as an investigator, right, and I'm happy you bring the issue of equipment, right, reviewing the equipment that they are using. When you look at the pictures that you see on your television, what does it tell you about equipment and the need for review?
So definitely, it's a multifaceted operations they are in, and every terrain demands a nature of equipment, or a specific operations will require a specific type of equipment. The frontliners will always do the assessment and decide what to do and what not to do. And I believe their judgment should be respected in that regard. But whatever we all have to do in terms of communication, in terms of support, and in terms of encouraging them to get a job done, is our responsibility as citizens and as a nation. But investigation outcome will determine what really happened to them and what needed to be done going forward.
Richard, we'll leave it here. I appreciate your time as always. Richard Kumado is a security analyst. He has extensive knowledge of the workings of national security. Now, away from that tragic incident, let's get into matters of law. And tonight, our attention is on private legal practitioner Martin Kpebu, who's intensified calls for the resignation of Special Prosecutor Kisi Ejabing and his team over the Special Prosecutor's handling of the case against the former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. Now, after honoring the OSP's invitation to clarify allegations of corruption, Kpebu is more convicted. The OSP must go. He'll join us shortly to explain this, but before then, tonight we are also following processes against Ken Ofori-Atta. The Special Prosecutor has had some explaining to do in the last hours of the evening after news reports revealed the former finance minister was no longer on Interpol's wanted list. Let's get into that confusion. Dennis Pwaberi Widam joins me here. He's my producer. One of my producers now will go over the details of these developments. Dennis, let's start off with the red notice, the wanted list, which Ken Ofori-Atta, Ghana's former finance minister, is supposed to be on.
Yes.
Now we know he's not on. Or is he back on?
No, I mean, as we check now, he's still not on. And a couple of times we have shown viewers this particular page, a live page of the Interpol website, where we have shown them where the former finance minister was placed on this particular list. But tonight, if you do the checks like we have done in the past, you are unable to find him on that particular list. So what is of a fact is that he is not visible on this particular list if you check on their website. But that in itself has been a matter of controversy. while there are reports that suggest that he's been removed, the OSP says that we should disregard such reports. Even though when you do your check, you do not find him listed as a wanted person as it used to be. But the OSP has been given an explanation as to why
this is so. I mean, what's the explanation?
Should be the basis for disregarding the reports that the OSP, the former finance minister, has been taken off the wanted list. Now, he makes reference to some ongoing legal processes that are to the effect that they were challenging the process of he being there, that lawyers had initiated processes to get him off that wanted list, that the process has been ongoing, and it gets to a point where they, as an office, were supposed to respond to some new information that had been adduced by lawyers for the former finance minister. And that in the circumstances, while the review is ongoing, it is the standard practice that Interpol would take out the person in the interim.
Because there's been a challenge.
Yes, until the decision is made. But that does not change the fact that when you go and search on the website, you do not find him listed as a wanted person. And that is what many have described as he has been taken off the wanted list. But what the OSP is suggesting to us that this is only a temporary situation, and that when the processes are done, the final determination will be made. These are excerpts of the statement that the OSP...
I see. And the OSP gives some timelines.
Yes.
When he talks to us about why
and this
the
is
situation
just
is so.
Last month that they started, that in October 2025, the Commission for the Control of Interpol's file notified Ghanaian authorities that accused Ken Ofori-Atta had applied for the removal of his name from the Interpol Red Notice. That the Commission requested Ghana's response to Mr. Ofori-Atta's application. Ghana's response was duly submitted 22nd October 2025. That by communication dated November 7, 2025, the Commission for the Control of Interpol's files notified Ghanaian authorities that accused Ken Ofori-Atta had filed additional arguments in an addendum. And the Commission requested Ghanaian authorities to file their response to Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta's additional arguments by November 21, which is in about 2 days. Now that the proceedings are still pending, and the Commission for the Control of Interpol's file is still studying the case, that during the pendency of the proceedings, the applicant's name, image, and details are redacted from public view until a final determination. OSP says what has happened is that the details have been redacted and that he has not been removed from the list. But bottom line is, you do not see him
on the
website.
On the website.
Now, the OSP goes on to urge us to disregard any publication to the contrary, because that is the office in charge. But we've also been doing some checks. How this in itself comes about, or how people get listed on the Interpol Red Notice. Pretty straightforward process. You make a request, there's a review, and then the decision is made whether to publish the person on the website or not. It does appear that we had gone through this route, for which reason our former finance minister was on that particular website. But what is required? There are some specific conditions that need to be met before this is done. The minimum is that there has to be an offense, and that offense must concern, the offense should be one of a serious nature. The penalty for that offense has to be a minimum of 2 years. So if you are dealing with an offense that has incarceration period of a year, it means it doesn't qualify here. It has to be custodial of 2 years or more. Now, when it comes to the judicial data that is required, you need to furnish them with all these documents. Summary of facts of the case. Charges. Now, pay attention to the kind of data that is required here, because we'll come back to it. You are looking at the summary of facts of the case, the charges. 3, you are looking at laws governing the offense. You are looking at the maximum penalty possible in respect of the charges that you are going to prefer. Then references to valid arrest warrants or judicial decisions having the same effect. But we do know that it was only yesterday that charges were formally preferred against the former finance minister. So then it raises the questions.
What did the OSP send there?
Exactly. And that also feeds into the conversation that perhaps the information that the OSP submitted to Interpol, for which reason our former finance minister was listed there, perhaps was inadequate. For which reason the filing of the charges yesterday probably prompted them to do a relook. However, when you look at the Interpol website, they also do periodic reviews of information that they've gathered on people. I.e., when they are prompted or when new information comes to their attention, they look at it and they take certain decisions, including deleting the people from the website or taking other actions. So that is the conversation we're having to deal with now. That yes, what is of a fact is that when you check the website, you don't find...
So Dennis, has the OSP given any explanation as to why, you know, as a country, we are now seeing an announcement of charges against the former finance minister, yet knowing that it's part of the requirements to put somebody on the red notice of Interpol? I don't know if you get where I'm going.
The OSP has not done so because we had already crossed that line, because the former finance minister was duly published on the Interpol red notice.
Because then remember also that the basis for which his counsels go there and challenge him being on the red notice is because of the charges.
Again, there's also the question of this whole process from the OSP started, at least per their own statement, October 2025. The only time the public is getting to hear that there's this pending proceeding is only when a report came suggesting that the OSP, the former finance minister, had been removed from the Interpol red notice. Then we are now told that, yes, he has not been removed, but this is what is ongoing.
Could this be that charges then were filed to enable the OSP put Ken Ofori-Atta on the red notice that the public was unaware of, including the person who the charges were against?
That would be highly unlikely, because just last month, yes, the OSP himself indicated that he was going to charge these people. He was not going to charge them again. So that in itself tells us that that was when he was going to charge them before the end of November. So that issue of that they were charged before, where those charges probably will be part of public documents in the courts, but where exactly?
So the Office of the Special Prosecutor should be answering the question then, how did they go around those requirements to be able to put Ken Ofori-Atta on the red notice of Interpol? Valid question.
Valid question. The other valid question that could also be asked is how did Interpol accept such information and publish it if it did not have some of the requirements that needed to be there? Fair questions.
Is this a big mess?
Well, they are still dealing with the matter. Proceedings are ongoing. And that's the reason there's a challenge. We are supposed to file a response. And when I say we, I mean as a state to this particular matter. And then a decision will be made whether to bring back the former finance minister on this particular red list or to remove him entirely. But of course, the bigger conversation has to be now, he together with others have been charged. They'll be formally put before the law courts. 78 charges. That is where the bigger conversation would be, really. And also the matters of extradition, because in respect of this, they're also seeking to bring him back to Ghana to face the law. Keminni.
Wow. I am genuinely curious and almost excited to know how, the OSP responds to this, right? But there are also other matters. We know that Martin Kpebu was invited to the OSP. He honored that invitation today.
Yes, he did.
Yesterday. The invitation was yesterday, but he honored the invitation today.
The invitation has been there for a while.
Right.
Yes, but he honored the invitation
today.
Yes.
What took him there?
Well, so the OSP has made some observations of some comments that Leonard Senior Martin Kpebu had made as part of the commentary that he makes in the media space. Some of those comments, he finds that there's the need for him to look into them. So he invited senior counsel to appear before him to assist and to provide further and better particulars in respect of those matters.
Dennis, you stay with me here because there's another legal matter to look at. But I'll now connect with Martin Kpebu. Again, counsel, I appreciate your time with us this evening. I know it's been a very long night for you. But first off, tell us what happened when you honored that invitation.
Yeah, so I got there early. Yeah, at least by the time I was even signing the record book, that was about 7 minutes to the time. Okay, so that's 1:53 or so. Yeah, and then we're ushered in. I was ushered in first into a waiting room. Yeah, waited. Then the first mishap happened when eventually we're asked to go upstairs to meet the persons were scheduled to meet. Then the OSP underling, a junior officer, told me that I was entitled to have one lawyer. I said, what? One lawyer? Where? Which constitution is that? Is that Ghana? So we straightened him. And then he went to seek clarification from his bosses. And then they told him, okay, he could come and I had two lawyers at the time. My third lawyer, Lawyer Jakwasu, our bar president, was still on his way. So my two other lawyers, Marcel and Bia and the other colleague, they were with me. And so we went up. Then, so we're ushered in committee. And then after all the introductions, they sought to go into the matter. And we said, no, not so fast. Wait, let's clear some preliminary legal issues. So when we say preliminary legal issues, it means that when a committee or a court is about to go into any matter, and there are some issues that can render the work of the court or the committee useless, not justice cannot be used. You have to raise those so that the person in the chair would look at them and then see. So we raised the matters that had to be raised. And then eventually, just to keep it short, they acceded to our request. Yes, they acceded to our request. So then the meeting was adjourned. So in all, about 22 minutes, then we were done. Yes, about 22 minutes. That's the actual hearing. The rest were, there will be small conversations. That was before we started and then after we ended. And then that was it.
What are the grounds for this invitation? Hello?
Yeah, so a number of them, there are at least 4. So number 1, so this is how they put it generally, that I should come and let's put this out first. I'm not under any investigation for any crime or anything. No, they said they basically want me to clarify. This word clarify can be too general. I think if you put it bluntly, it means at least substantiate some of the allegations you made. Yes, the word clarify is used, but if you look at the clarify, I don't think it's about, we don't understand this word, we don't understand that word. It's basically, can you show us some more evidence beyond the things you said? I think that's the way I understand it. So I've raised at least 4 issues. Number 1, what I said in the various interviews on TV3, okay, that they have issues with. 1, that Kisieja being colluded with Ken Ofori-Atta for Ken Ofori-Atta to leave. That's the statement I made, yes. And I said so because it's Kisieja being himself who came and told Ghanaians that he came to confess that before Ken Ofori-Atta left, Kisieja being a special prosecutor, intercepted the letter Kisieja Ofori-Atta wrote to the incoming chief of staff and the outgoing chief of staff, informing them and asking for permission to travel. So he said he had seen this letter, and then he went to NIB, he didn't get help. He went to immigration, didn't get help, and then went to national security, didn't get help. So I was like, what? How? So that's the most crucial one. That's the most crucial issue. So I said, no. For me, because the obvious answer was that in such a case, you do a press conference. The Constitution allows it. I've cited the preamble to the Constitution. I've cited Article 1, Article 35, and Article 125. All of them say that the people of Ghana, we are the sovereign, we are the bosses. There is what we call the constitutional principle of civic oversight over state institutions. Civic oversight, just like you hear Parliament will say it has oversight over the executive. Yes, we, the Ghanaian people, we have oversight over all the public institutions. So if you face a challenge and you come to us, yes, that's democracy. There's nothing like oath of secrecy. No. If somebody is doing something wrong against our constitution, against our public governance, and you come out to say it, you are not breaching an oath of secrecy. No, oath of secrecy is not to protect crime, wrongdoing. So that principle of civic oversight is what I thought. If Kissi doesn't understand the principle of civic oversight, then he should leave that office. So that's ground one. Then I also raised issues of conflict of interest. I said there was one of the officers of the OSP who is involved in the SML investigations. But earlier on, that officer had been working for GRA and had worked along with West Blue. And West Blue came to kick out SML. West Blue is the company that was doing the job that SML was brought to do. And so I mentioned that there were issues of conflict of interest. And these ones we have details. Now, the matter of conflict of interest I raised is now a public document. The people who are raising the conflict of interest have since presented a petition to SHRAG. The petition, I believe, is online, maybe many portals. I know TV3, you did a story on it, so the petition should be online. Many other portals have the petition online. So the issues of conflict I raised are public notice now. They are online. And the people who made the allegations of the conflict of interest, they are there. They can be brought to substantiate or, otherwise of their statement. Then finally, I said that the special prosecutor was corrupt and that the OSP, the office, was a crime scene. And even in the same video I said there were two employees, just a few examples. I said there were two employees who were working domestically for the special prosecutor, but they are employed by the office. Yeah, I raised that. And, I don't want to expand the scope. At least I'm just reiterating what is in the videos. But, as if you ask me to come and substantiate, obviously I'll come with a lot of information beyond the video. Your question was that, what are the grounds? On what basis was I invited? And I'm saying that looking at the video, that's the interview I granted to TV3. These are the matters I raised and for which reason they want clarification.
I see, Counsel, I can't help but notice that you sound as though this invitation was not necessary to start with. Am I correct?
No. For me, it's good riddance. It's good riddance because it has brought the matter back to the fore so that we can debate it. Yes, it's good riddance. Everything happens for a purpose because you see now we can interrogate it. So call governance experts, call people who deal with our constitutions and our constitution 1992 and governance generally. Kissi Agyapong played that part. He says these institutions didn't help him to catch Oforiatta. This is a matter that deserves to be investigated. It's a serious matter. It's not, we cannot allow this to go. Your special prosecutor comes to say National Investigative Bureau, formerly BNI, National Security and Immigration didn't help him when he wanted to stop Oforiatta from fleeing. And nobody is waking up for us to go into it. It's a serious matter.
I see now. So demonstration is the way to go?
Absolutely. I'm seeking help. Oh, yes. Unless he and his two lieutenants resign, eventually we'll do a demonstration before we present a petition. The reason is that the principle we have to uphold in this case is civic oversight. Ask the governance expert. Citizens have oversight over government institutions, the public sector. So if there's something wrong, we should get up and put them in their place. Not just leave it to a few people that, council, go and put it in a petition and present to the president, etc., so that you go and do Article 146 proceedings for the removal of Kissi Agyapong. Yes, we'll get there if we demonstrate and he doesn't want to go. But let's cross that bridge first. Citizens must get engaged. If you read online, you see the way people are angry and commenting. So all those people, we have to galvanize, come together and go on the demo. So by the time we are done with the demo and everything after it, if Kissi is still in that office, okay, then we take it from there.
Well, I mean, clearly you'd have to go back there for this matter to be looked at again, because you explained that it's preliminary. But let's look at other issues. Ken's placement on Interpol's wanted list. We know the controversy that has come with that. The OSP has talked about the fact that there was a process, and come November 21st, that process will continue, which is why Ken's photograph is redacted. What readings do you make into this?
Well, so you see that this stuff still into the case we are building up, that all this is needless. If Kisi had informed Ghanaians that Oforiatta is about to flee Ghana, we would have stopped him. So this is an own goal. What I make of this is an own goal that Kisi has scored. This is an own goal. You see the man about to leave Ghana, you don't report. So now with this, what it means is that they say that hearing will go on, okay? The Interpol hearings to determine whether the notification should be removed permanently will go on. So when they finish, the Interpol, the committee will decide. Notification, they will decide at the end of it. You know, Ghana has presented this case. Oforiatta too has presented his case, right? His case. So then they will do and go into the hearings. Yes, it's like another court on its own as to whether Oforiatta should continue to be on the red notice, okay, list, or he should not be. So when they are done, the final decision will come out whether to put him now. Right now they say he's there but restricted because the public can't see him. So in local parlance, we just say now he's been removed, because if you and I go, we would effectively not see him, right? So when they finish and Ghana wins, right, then now everybody can see Oforiatta on the red notice. But if we lose, then he's removed. But the thing is that one is not even the end of the matter. The real case is that we are now doing the extradition proceedings. That's the one Dr. Ayine, Attorney General, is working on. It is when we do the extradition proceedings and the U.S. government agrees to bring him back, then they will take it to court in the U.S., arrest Oforiatta, they take the matter to court, and then the court will also look at it. And once the court agrees he should be brought to Ghana, that's when the red notice will really be important. Because right now, when he's arrested, okay, even if he's arrested now, he will not be brought until we finish the extradition proceedings. And from what we are seeing, it's not today and tomorrow. Extradition, oh no, it's unlikely we'll finish in less than a year. It's unlikely. Even the Americans, when they bring people here, I mean, they make requests for us to extradite people. It takes years. So it's not a simple matter. And that's how come we'll still keep going back to the point that Kisi is responsible for all of this. That's how he has to come and apologize and leave the office. Because now see how we are all sweating all over, spending a lot of resources, debating this matter. If he leaves, then it will bring a new sense of purpose, a new sense of urgency in the OSP, in the office. Because once he says, now that he's lost the fight morally, because the chief prosecutor sat and allowed Oforiatta to go, it's affecting morale in the office. Because now we are dragging Kisi every day in the media. Why did you allow Oforiatta to flee? Why did you allow Oforiatta to flee? You said you saw him. You said you've intercepted the letter, and yet you didn't inform the people of Ghana. Keminni, please remember this, Keminni, very, very important. You know when President Mahama won, the NDC foot soldiers started making noise that, hey, close the airports, close all the borders. That was the information they were giving. That was the lead they were giving law enforcement agencies. Don't let former appointees leave. So Kisi didn't learn anything from this. So even, well, they say I shouldn't say even. So foot soldiers were alert and sensitive to this thing that some former government appointees will flee. And yet we have to see Jabi who has received the notice and went to allegedly, let me use allegedly, because we are yet to hear from all those law enforcement agencies. He said he allegedly went there and didn't receive help, and NIB is now denying. And you didn't come to the people of Ghana. When Martin Amidu had a similar problem, what did he do? He came to the people of Ghana. Then we stepped in and put a Kufuado in his place. That's when the mother serpent of corruption named gained currency. You see, he's stuck on Akufo-Addo for life. You see how we've punished Akufo-Addo and the MPP for it. So Kissi Agyapong was supposed to do the same. And there's constitutional basis for it. There's constitutional basis. After all, even the OSP Act says that he should be informing Ghanaians periodically about cases, etc. Right. And yet he sat on this information and people kept complaining. You see, people had to complain month after month. Then finally, in the 11th month, Kissi had to come and confess. Oh, come on, this is not on. Not in Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana.
Very well, Counsel. Thank you so much for your time and wish you the very best. We'll wrap it up on this subject and then we'll take a very quick break. When we come back, remember we talked about that viral video of a woman being assaulted by her husband. We have an exclusive with that woman. We hear the backstory of what happened and then what the state is doing about this. Don't go away. Welcome back. Let's bring you that heart-rending story of the woman who was abused by her husband in a now viral video that we may all have seen. Here's an exclusive with her conversation with our Portia Gabo.
It was a viral video that got Ghana talking. A video of a man physically assaulting his wife to the pulp while naked. A 32-year-old woman, a wife, sister, auntie, and mother of two was the victim. At her hideout, she showed me scars and bruises of domestic violence etched deeply on her skin. Visibly shaken, Harriet, a 32-year-old mother of two, is distraught and not okay. She and her husband have been estranged for 5 months. She tells me she had to leave her marital home because she was fed up with the physical assault meted on her. Unfortunately, she could not go with her 2 kids after her husband refused to let her go along with them. I was at a funeral on Saturday in my hometown when he called to say that my younger son was ill and that I must return to cater for him. I only came home to find the kids playing and asked why he lied to me. At night, he wanted to have sex with me. I refused because we've been estranged for 5 months. He told me that he had set a trap for me. He wanted to kill me.
Trap number 30. Na me say trap system. Bi say me jimi. So we kura na se na we jan kwala no. E na me frɛ wa na ene say. Ene say na me say jimi e say. Na say me ni wuni ho. Obu mi am dwan be say kura say wa pa me twa me say me mba. Nti trap say me ba be ku. Sa tam no no wa frɛ ne ba. E Daniel. So mfa nkwala ne nko na me mfa nkwala ne nko.
His son came for the kids, after which he locked the door.
Daniel Nadi Nkwalani paper no lock here, or Chinese door. Say, lock no lock here. Saturday na shaman or so on a tomami. Tararara. Nika shami or so no tomami. I hear near shaman no toy, no attitude in half midnight naked or all.
He tore off my clothes, underwear, and beads until I was naked. Then he subjected me to severe beating.
No go fire. With the bob me name it said him. Hey, blessing to trap now. Something is so bad. Come see me. Come and go baby. I will push you for wine. Move me. And I miss Mr. So when you 2 minutes I trust. So the book to the book to the Lord. They are bombing. Or stop me. Name the minister. To be here, many. Or the bubble bombing. Ne we no kwai. Nti ekwa we ye no so okohwehwe adefo fraba e wo kitchen ho na okofa asekan o so me nsa se so be twa me nsa na fi so be di me dem ti me so me broni me menna me pe ko na kuma be to ni yem no ja me keke na mako mi ye e biele su ye papa we don't just that it open la ba ko ye fe no keteku eno bobo no ma no sibre de mpacho bie mi no bie gate na brand be jese kan no kache brand so wompie o sa to aso no ko fa ne ba ne fa na Abigail ko fa ne sleeper de bobo me nka ze mu ntwantro no TV anim me nka sa keke me ne oba mi nku be ma me ne awani ma sida no de bobo me fi no wiki mi joint Spreading bajobi kumi Mr. Yes, meku. Unya ushi ya misi meku.
She tells me this is not the first time that her estranged husband has abused her. Despite several pleas and reports to the Ghana Police Service, Harriet says nothing was done about it, despite carrying evidence.
Catch the full story on all our social media handles, including YouTube, and the full story will be on the 6 a.m. news on New Day. Make a date with us then as well. It's time for me to go, but as always, I appreciate your company with us here on Ghana Tonight. I will see you same time tomorrow with even more news. Bye-bye.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by Flamingo.